Welcome to Behind the Badge. This podcast aims to improve the health and well-being of frontline workers. Each episode features candid conversations with former and current frontline community members and subject matter experts. Join us as we explore the unique nature of serving in high-risk roles, sharing inspiring stories of resilience, strategies, and resources. We are not qualified health professionals, nor are we aligned with any organization. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely our own. Additionally, the content may evoke strong emotional responses for some. Listener discretion is advised.
I don't wanna promise that we have an answer. And I don't wanna promise that we know.
G'day everyone, welcome back to today's episode. Before we get into it though, just a small favour to ask. If Behind the Badge has hit home for you or helped someone that you care about, please take a moment to follow the podcast, leave a rating, or drop us a quick comment, either via Instagram or on whatever platform that you get your podcasts. This small gesture really does help keep the project going and make sure that these stories are getting to the people who need to hear them. Now, on to today's episode. In part 2 of our conversation with Tom Bown, we are shifting from the battlefield to something far more personal. Tom opens up about what happened after his deployments, the slow, silent slide into depression, his suicide attempt, and how shame nearly took everything from him. But this isn't just a story about struggle. It's about rebuilding, about taking ownership, and about turning pain into purpose. We unpack why so many suffer in silence, how unspoken trauma eats away at identity, what helped him crawl out of his darkest moments, and how the Origin Initiative was born. This episode is no different to the first. It's raw, and it's honest, and it's unfiltered. It's full of insight for anyone who's walked the edge or knows someone who has. We do delve into some pretty deep and dark topics in this one, so listener discretion is advised. Let's get into it. And we're back.
Back. That was an epic piece.
Let's go back, Tom, to your getting back from Iraq.
Oh yeah. Sorry, so a bit more linear. We started to get a bit ethereal there, but yeah, mate. So back from Iraq, and what happened after that? Yeah, so got back from Iraq, and then I was due for, not promotion, but due to at least do my promotion course in the military. That's why I laughed when you said pride, like, oh, you get back from Afghan, you get promoted. If there was any chance of me being promoted, I fucking ruined it while telling them to get fucked. But yeah, so I got back from that one, and then did a promotion course up in Brisbane. And I think that was kind of the beginning of my, demise, so to speak, I think, around about then. Again, I won't go into the minutiae of some of that stuff, but I was, I think I had a bit of I had an ego. I've always had a bit of an ego anyway, but I think I really jacked that up a lot after that deployment, I think, and then my marriage started to suffer a little bit. I was I was definitely a bit more distant. Always sort of looking elsewhere, trying to get out on the piss a lot more with the lads, bit avoidant of home, bit more aggression, that type of stuff. And it was probably the first time that I've ever probably dipped into an actual depressive or overly emotional state of crisis. Because I remember one night out on the piss, and I don't know what set me off. But I just started crying. I was at the bar, fully fucking boop, 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 ramping it, just killing it, obviously. And I just burst into tears. No idea what kicked it off. And I had to leave. And I ended up at a mate's place, and just bawling my eyes out. I don't know why. And on his fucking couch or whatever. And then woke up the next day, and then I was like, oh, fuck, that was a bit weird. Anyway, back to it. And it was the first time I'd ever had any sort of uncontrollable emotional outburst like that. And then, anyway, so there was another deployment coming up. Marriage was sort of suffering a bit. We ended up splitting up. I think it was early 2017. It would have been early 2017. And then there was another deployment coming up, but I turned it down so I can go on the dog course. So they're like assault dogs. So I went on that one, and then when I was on the course, I think that was like the worst part of going through the divorce and my breakup with my wife. And that was when that really heavy depression started kicking in, like really started to feel it at work. Performance declining, guys starting to be like, hey, what the fuck's going on, man? Like, I was always a bit of a loose character, and they would always be like, this dude's a bit wild. But it was the first time guys were like, hey, you okay? What the fuck's going on with you? And it just started with like zoning out. A little bit, I'd just be sort of like vacantly staring at something, and then they'd be like, oh, Brownie, what's going on? I'm going to do this thing, or like at lunch, I'd have to duck off to hide so I could cry randomly for no reason, didn't know why or what it was for, or just sit there in this catatonic state where I just was staring blankly, and I just wasn't there. It was like Tom was gone, and it was just my body sitting there. A strange sensation. Like, it's hard to describe. And then if I wasn't in that state of mind, I was really, really angry all the time. And if I wasn't really, really angry, I'd just be like really, really happy, like trying to laugh at dudes, having a great time. So it was one of them three. That was about it.
How did it go down when the boys were asking you, like, what's going on with you? What's wrong? You're out of sorts. How did those conversations go? Because obviously you knew something was going wrong if you were taking yourself away to have a cry and all that sort of stuff. You obviously knew something was up.
I don't think I think it was a little while after that I actually noticed that I was like really heavily depressed. I think it was post-course. Because that was kind of when it started. It's like the worst part started, but then I like sort of like sustained that worst part for a while. It was a few months after where I was like, man, I just haven't been able to shake this thing. You know what I mean? And it was like totally catatonic states. Some weekends couldn't get out of bed. Over the course of this. Like the depression, which I'd say acutely it was about 3 years, acute/chronic. Sometimes, man, I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't dress myself, like couldn't even speak. I mean, like for me not to speak, especially about myself, is probably the biggest indicator that I was fucking fragged. So it was just these weird kind of catatonic states where I just couldn't function. And then I would get really overwhelmed really easily at work in terms of like, some sort of technical thing that I would normally be second nature. I just couldn't do it. Or I'd need a lot of help doing it, or I'd fuck it up. Or like, miss timings, or, forget some gear, or whatever it was. So in terms of those conversations, it didn't go very far. It was sort of like, hey man, you're right. And I was like, yeah, I just, divorce or whatever. And I was just a bit down, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to describe it. I didn't know this was what depression was. And, like, because it didn't look like what I thought it would, when I finally was like, oh no, there's something actually wrong. This is not just, the Tom Brown up and down sort of experience. I was like, this is wrong. This is not a good thing. It took me a long time to realise that I'm in something, but I couldn't give it a name. There was no name for it, because sometimes it was anxiety, sometimes it was depression, sometimes it was aggression, sometimes it was, total overwhelm. It was a variety of different things. So if you'd say, what is this thing you're experiencing? I'd be like, fucked if I know. Sometimes I'm crying, sometimes I want to fight everyone, sometimes I'm just not there, I'm zoned out. Sometimes I was so anxious that I didn't want to go to work or leave the house. But at the same time, we had a few suicides in the unit at that time, and I think it was like in total, my unit lost 7 dudes to suicide between 2014 to like even a couple of years ago. A guy I was at 3RAO with. So there was a few suicides going on in the unit at that time, and it was, my thoughts of suicide were gradual. It was like, waking up again. Oh, fuck. All right, let's go. Come on, let's do it again. Yeah, another day. And then I was like, I wish I didn't wake up. And then it was, maybe I can have an accident. maybe I can get a sickness and just die. And then it was like, okay, I can turn in front of a car or I can run off a bridge. And then it was hang myself, shoot myself, gas myself in a car, whatever. And then at the same time, there was a couple other guys in the unit that had killed himself as well. And again, we're talking about this commonality of this experience. My thing was that, because they were guys that had been in the unit for a while, I was always like, well, what I'm going through is fucking stupid. It's not a real thing. Whatever they're going through is the real one.
Like minimising your own feelings and thoughts.
Yeah, because I was like, nah, no way is any of those guys crying in their car for no reason on the way home, or randomly trying to fight people, and driving was my thing. It was my big tell that I was fragged, because I was, very, very aggressive. And I mean aggressive like pursuing people to try and hurt them, that kind of aggressive, right? So I always thought my experience, and the way I phrase it now, is that depression was a stupid injury and PTSD was the cool one. Because you get PTSD because you're a mad fucking war dog. Yep. You're a war hero or whatever. But depression is some weak civilian sad person thing that fucking losers get. And I was like, damn it, I got the shit one. I wish I had the cool one. Because I was like, I didn't have any flashbacks. I wasn't having nightmares. I wasn't, like hyper vigilant at a cafe, jumping when a car backfires. Not that cars ever backfire these days. But I just couldn't reconcile my experience. So I had a lot of shame around it. So most of my stuff ended up just being shame masked by anger. So, and then it was, again, people are noticing at work and whatever, but I was sort of downplaying it, just suffering internally. But my missus knew what was going on. She was like, this is fucking not good. I've seen this before, kind of thing. And then it was like March 2018, so 2020, March 2018, and I just tried to fucking beam myself one night. Went down to the garage, plugged the hose in the car, sat in the car, just was hoping I'd just fucking die. My thinking was that I would die peacefully. I mean, I don't know, I've never seen anyone that's been gassed in a car before, but one of the guys in the unit had hung himself. Another guy, I think, did it with pills, and there was another guy. So I tried on a Friday night. There was another guy that died on the Monday of the same week. Not sure what he'd done. So I kind of had that all going through my head that, all these guys dying and then getting immortalised, They were these guys that were these war heroes that they were now, their legacy and their memory is going to live forever, immortalised as these gods of fucking Tucumano, right? So I think in my head, I was like, well, I'll do that too, right? I got the shit injury, but I don't have to tell anyone about it. I'll just fucking die, and they could put me on the rock next to those guys, and I'll be remembered in a way that I want people to remember me. But didn't go through it, obviously. Didn't go through it, and then got out of the car, and then somebody, I think my neighbour or someone, called the cops. They picked me up the next morning. Work found out, obviously, just by nature of the reporting process, and then they taken back to work, and then the whole, no weapons, out of the platoon, mech downgraded, no deployments, no courses, etc., etc. No dog.
Essentially, just isolate you from the unit.
Pretty much, yeah. And I know that's not what they're trying to do, but that's what happens. You just get taken away from all your mates. Yep. And years later, I was asked about from some like police tactical dudes. They were like, "Hey man, what we've got a couple of guys that are on breaks like you were talking about. What do we fucking do with them?" And I was kind of telling them from my perspective some of that stuff because of what happened to me. And I always make the distinction between what the system did and what the people did.
Yep,
big difference. System is just a bunch of fucking flowcharts and spreadsheets and computers and reporting procedures. People are different. People are infinitely complex. The initial response was really good, right? They were good at saving me. Yeah, the reporting process, put me in the hospital, my platoon come and fucking took care of me. I still felt like a massive fuckwit laying in this hospital bed because I didn't kill myself. And then, I've got my mates that I was trying to avoid with this stuff have now got to watch me go through it. there was a lot of shame and embarrassment about that, but I was grateful they were there. So they were great for that, and they handled it quite delicately as much as they could and should have. And then when the system kind of took over, it was just the rehab process just kind of turned into a bit of a nothing, you know. It was just like gradual increase in work hours. A lot of the people that were trying to help you or that said they were going to be a part of the process weren't. The actual treatment that I got was external, so I did it off base with a psychologist, a guy called Justin Hendricks, and I still recommend that guy to people today. And we did a lot of that childhood stuff, right? Because I had no idea how maybe my childhood could affect me now and the way I think about myself and why I was pursuing these things. So, you know, the rehab process was not the best, but the people did what they could within the scope of their understanding and their own experience. But in that time, I was having a lot of conversations with the other guys who had been struggling prior to that and who'd struggled after and would tell me a lot of things. And I just remember that curtain was, for me, it was just lifted. You know, I was like, what I thought was I was the only one going through, like so many guys were experiencing it in varying degrees. And it wasn't all, you know, apocalypse now, waking up, flashbacks, punch in the mirror, war hero stuff. It was just rotten shit, you know what I mean? Like guys fucking cheating or like isolating themselves from their kids or going through divorces where their kids were taken off them. Or maybe there were some nightmares and flashbacks and there was, you know, guys getting in fucking punch-ons out on the town or performance declining at work, crying, sadness, isolation, getting out, identity crisis, all of that stuff was all part of it. And I just saw it all. You know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't think any less of these guys, but I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's just a thing, like no one, it's like everybody hides it. And it was the first time that I'd looked at that and gone, I can actually reconcile my experience here and realise that, you know, what I am experiencing is so common. Whether guys want to talk about it or not, like I said before, right, I'll talk about this shit so that if you're out there and you don't want to talk about it, then you listen to me, I'll tell you all my fucked up shit, and you take it and you do it in private. You don't ever have to tell anyone about it. And go out on the social media and tell these stories in the podcast, right? Take my shit and use it in private and then never tell anyone. But don't fucking pretend for 1 second that it didn't happen and that it might not happen again in the future. That's what fucks me off the most, when guys disregard it after they've been through it, right? So that's my sort of bugbear in this world is like, you don't have to pass it on. You don't have to do a podcast, write a book, you know, go and start some social media thing and do a PowerPoint presentation or whatever. But don't pretend it's not a real thing or that doesn't happen or that you don't have empathy for the people that go through it, right? So
Still acknowledge it.
Yeah, 100% right. And don't dwell on it either, right? Like the whole point of this thing is you've got to understand it, fix it, and then move on. Whether you pass it on or not is your prerogative, but, you know, it's fine to move on and never talk about it again.
Would it be right in saying that through that process where you were not well and hearing from the other boys that had gone through it and perhaps come out of it, did that give you hope and help you through your journey, finding out that like, oh, I'm not the only one?
Yeah, hugely. Yeah, because I just had this big divide between who I was and who I thought they were. So that's why I did that isolating thing. I isolated myself. I wasn't good enough to be around them, the imposter syndrome stuff. Blame myself for everything, particularly around the divorce, because it was, the way it ended was my infidelity. And then I ended up telling her about it and whatnot. And that was a whole mess. And then dealing with the fallout of the divorce. So it was good to see that my experience was common and that I wasn't the only one. So I could reconcile that and be like, oh, okay, it's all right. Still sucked. Still did not enjoy it. Yep. And I don't think I fully found that out in time and then reconciled that in time for me to do anything about it and then stay in the military, which is a big point I always want to make to people is if you go through it, right, just fucking do it. Who cares if it's public, not public, whatever, let somebody know. I mean, I'm going through some shit. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm going through some shit. it's not good. I'm not having a fucking good time, and I need some space from work, and I need to sort it out so I can come back because I want to come back and do work. I could have done that. I could have come back to work and kept kicking doors and been a fucking SF operator and done more stuff in my career and had heaps of fun or whatever, and gone through it and fixed it and come back. But I didn't. I sat in it for fucking years, stewed on it, went backwards a heap of times, and because I never gave myself that chance, I never did it properly because I was so scared of it and tried to hide it. I can't go back.
Yeah.
I then couldn't join QPS because of that.
Yeah.
I can't go back to the military, or maybe. I mean, they're still asking about me, so maybe I can, but I'm just fucking telling them to get fucked. I can't go back to that place because I never let myself do it. So
I think that's such a powerful message, because we've been sort of dancing around that question to so many other people, and for once I've heard what I want to hear, because the fear of standing up and saying, hey, I don't know what it is, I'm going through something, it's not good, but there's resistance against that because of their job. Now, I think what you've just said should be enough for someone to listen to and go, you know what, if I jump on this now, I can still be a firefighter, a police officer. That's the message I've been waiting for, but I've yet to sort of get that response. So thank you for the response, because I'm so sure there's so many people going, lips are sealed, not saying boo, because I've got to make an income, I've got to feed the family, and there is that status that I'm doing good for the community, and I need that status.
Yeah. Well, most of us, and there's varying degrees of the insecurity that fuels it, right? Internal, external, or whatever. My insecurity was significant. I'd say more significant than a lot of the guys around me. So for me, I did a lot more self-destructive stuff. But not everybody is as insecure as I was. So, maybe you do just want to stay in that job. You do just want to keep doing it. So, for me, I was like, I cannot afford to have a break, because if I have a break and I can't be who and what I want to be, it'll destroy me. I can't do it because I got nothing else to go to. I don't know. I'm too scared to go to the next thing, whatever the fuck that is. I'm too scared to be a failure and be like a failed commando or whatever. But if there are people that don't have that crippling insecurity that I had back then, take a break. You want to be a fiery? Keep fucking being a fiery. Have a break. Maybe work pays for your leave or whatever. I was lucky that I was in the military, so all my leave and everything that I did, I was still being paid for. There's no hourly rate. I was still in the military getting my full pay. And look, I actually did rehab myself and get back into the assault platoon. I got booted from dogs because they didn't know how to fucking deal with me or know what to do. But I did rehab myself. I got back in the assault platoon. I got back doing, I think it was tag again. I could have deployed again. I could have probably gone to one commando and done some more stuff. But I was so ashamed of what I'd lost and how it played out that I was like, nah, I'm going to get out of here. I can't do this. And also there was a whole bunch of that organisational betrayal stuff. I felt betrayed, and the normal stress of that job was no longer palatable to me. I was just like, right, I get it. You don't care.
And I think too, being able to leave on your own terms would be a massive positive to your mental health. Going, you know what? I could have stayed, I could have done this, I could have, but I don't choose to do this anymore. I think that's the other side that people need to get that message to say, yes, I really, truly want to be a police officer, firefighter, but at the end of the day, if it's just, you know what, I want to leave on my terms. It's not what I want anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I left. I'd medically upgraded. I wasn't medically booted. I left myself, and that's because I wanted to do it on my own terms. Right? I wanted to go out with my chin up, and be like, I didn't go out like a fucking weak cunt, or what I thought would have felt like that. It felt like that anyway, but I still went out on my own terms. I decided to discharge, but it was because I was too scared to keep doing that job, because I was scared that I was broken, that everyone fucking thought of me in a certain way, like I was the suicide guy, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's a huge thing to tell people, that why can't your own mind and your emotions just be a normal part of the performance of your job? Right? We all like to talk about high performance. How is that not a part of performance? Like, you know, we want to perform mentally. Well, then when you break mentally, fix that shit and then get back to the performance part. And I use the term capacity. One of the worst parts about going through that experience for me is the capacity to do what I wanted was reduced and lost. I couldn't do it. Like, you know, I was a breacher when I was on teams, so I had to, you know, make explosives, and there's a process to like build them and make them and whatever. And I remember when I did go back and do the rehab part, I was still at a far reduced capacity than what I was used to. I tried to like build one of these charges that would have normally been very easy, and I just couldn't do it. I just stood there and I was like, I don't know what I'm fucking doing. I'm serious. This is the easy part. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was just like, I can't do it.
Are you still holding yourself to the same expectations and standards?
100%. Yeah.
So instead of giving yourself a bit of grace and going, well, my capacity is reduced because of X, Y, and Z, you're still expecting that same high level of performance.
Yeah. So in my mind, I was like, I'm still exactly the same guy. I'm still held to the same standards, still have to do the same thing. So, you know, I've got to fucking pony up and just do it, right? But it's not the case. If you don't have that break, if you don't take a rest, and if you don't rehab and fix yourself, you're not gonna be able to do it. That law of diminishing returns, right? Maybe you can fight it in private. You can douse it with alcohol. You can handle some of the aggressive outbursts every now and then, or the emotional outbursts, and then you can go to your work. But at some point, it's going to catch up on you. People are going to notice. You're going to have a reduced capacity. Your performance at work is going to decline. It's going to start affecting your family. Just have a break. Just do it. Do it properly, and then come back. I mean, I'm sure some of the older guys and maybe even some of the younger guys at your work that have gone through some of these things and then come back, they've got a lot to share. And they're not sitting there every day telling this sad story about how bad their life is. They're rehabbed. They're back, probably still dealing with it. But they're in the job. They're putting out fires. They're getting cats out of trees. They're perving on chicks while you're getting coffees for fucking 6 hours of your shift. They're sleeping, you know, doing a uni degree or whatever it is you guys do.
You've been spending too much time with Soggy, mate.
Yeah,
no, that's true.
They're still doing all that stuff because they let themselves do it, right? And I use the term permission. You got to give yourself permission to go through this shit. You're a human being. Like, we're all the biggest, baddest, toughest dude ever that can do things that the public can't do. You know, we are the fucking help. You call me when you need something. That's what we think, right? But at no point are you exempt from the human experience. Like, whether you like it or not, I don't care how much philosophy you read and the books and in the videos and the YouTube stuff, you've got emotions. You're a human being that's got emotions. And sometimes you'll cry. Sometimes you'll fucking rage. You'll have shame. You'll have guilt. You know, all the other ugly emotions that we don't like to look at because we just like to do the aggression one because it looks cooler and it masks the ones that aren't cool. You've got to look at yourself in that brutal way and be like, yeah, I'm allowed to go through some shit because when I do it, I come out and I just do some mad shit again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, they're all normal human emotions. Yeah. And just because you hold a certain job doesn't mean that you're exempt from it. Feeling those, they're normal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But for some reason we shelve them and say, no, we're not allowed to feel them, or we're not allowed to experience them, or at least not allowed to show them. You know,
and I think it's because we go, well, I'm the guy that does the things that most people can't do. I'm the guy that runs into the burning building. I'm the guy that ropes off the helicopter and blows up the fucking door, right? I'm the guy that, you know, you call when you're getting fucking bashed and I'll arrest them. I'm the guy that'll patch you up when you get fucking run over by a car or whatever, you know, like we are the hero, we are the help. So to then be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing so well. It's preposterous because you think about, you're like, I've got the capacity to do the things that people can't do. So to admit the weakness and to admit that I've got something going on has then detracted from who I think I am and who I say that I am. Which, you know, like, again, is contrary to what it should be, you know. Like, imagine if there was, like, you know, instead of going like, all right, we're doing mental health training today, Emma goes, oh, fuck. And you watch some YouTube video and it's like, you need to take care of your mental health because you are important. And you're just sitting there going, nothing makes me want to kill myself more than this dude, you know. Like, put some human shit in there.
Yeah.
You know, like, get one of your ex-fireys to come and say it, or one of your current fireys that's been through it. Right, I did a speech because I'm very important, very important, very busy person. I did a speech last year at with Soggy actually. He sort of tagged along to my speeches, which is nice. I like to give a guy like him a fucking hand whenever I can. I did a speech last year to some cops down at Victoria, and there was a couple of guys in the crowd that had been through some hectic shit. Like, they'd been through a crisis, family, personally, because of stuff with the job. And they're sitting there in the crowd, like, fully admitting, yeah, man, I went through some hectic shit a while ago. And I look at somebody like that and I go, that's the guy you need to deliver your presentation, right? Yeah, me and Soggy, because we've done similar jobs and we've been through it and we're here to tell you stuff we've learned. But you need that guy as well to run you through it, right? But the organisations are scared of the ugly part. They're scared of what it really looks like. They just want to do the, like, hey, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Fuck yeah, like...
Band-Aid.
Let's tick the box.
So aware of it now. Oh, shit, I'm aware of it. I don't like looking at that. Put it back in it. Get this fucking sad puppy out of here, you know? Like, it's one thing to talk about. It's one thing to go into the rotten shit, right? And I get it. Not everyone wants to sit around talking about the sad shit all the time, and nor should you. But at some point, you've got to look at it and be like, okay, that's what it actually looks like. And that's fucked. I don't want to do that. So let's do it, get it done, and then we'll go back to doing whatever. Comes back again, do it again. Look at it, deal with it, go back to doing work.
I think there's some great importance in speaking about that stuff too, because, like, listening to your story, and you said, like, at the time, going through all this stuff and you didn't know what it was. If someone said to you, what is this? And you go, I don't know, mate. I've got no idea. Whereas if you visit it and talk about it and share those things, and people have a... You know, understanding's different for everybody. Everybody goes through different things, but at least if they get a couple of little bits of knowledge or experiences from, say, people like yourself, they might be able to identify those a bit earlier when they're going through it as well. So I think, yeah, there's great value in visiting that stuff.
Yeah, big time, man. And that's a lot of the stuff that I try to preach to people is, you know, sometimes, yeah, it's important to put a name to it or a label or whatever, because it can help you sort of digest it and put it in a box and know what it is. But other times, it, you know, maybe later on down the track, it doesn't really matter what it's called. You understand the experience.
Yep.
But at that stage, I didn't even understand the experience. Right? And then, you know, we all say like, oh, bro, if you never need any help, give us a call, or I should reach out for some help. Help with what? I don't even know what it is. I don't know what this thing is. And it doesn't look like what I thought it should look like. It doesn't look like the cool one that I saw in the movie. So how the fuck do I ask for help for this thing, you know? Because I sound like a fuckwit when I'm trying to describe it because I don't even know what it is. So, you know, my way of asking for help was not packing up the hose in my car so that somebody would find it, so that they would finally take me seriously. Because I thought nobody took me seriously. I just thought they all thought I was sad. Like, sadness was a very tiny, tiny part of that experience. I think a lot of people look at depression and think it's a sadness. Like, yeah, at times maybe, but for the most part, man, it's like nothing. It's hard to describe it. It was like I was empty. Nothing. Brain, heart, soul, emotions, everything empty. That's why I was just catatonic, because I was like, yeah, there's nothing here. No sadness, no happiness, no anger, no resentment, just nothing, just empty. You know, like, how the fuck do you describe that to somebody? And then go, hey, can I have some help, please? So my asking for help was, hey, I fucking need you to listen to me, because this thing that I'm going through, it's so bad for me that I wanted to die, and I can't tell you that, so I need you to see it. So, you know, how do you ask for help when you don't know what you're asking for help for?
I think too, there's a lot comes from that shared experience, opposed to let's say a support worker telling me in a room that you need to be aware of this and that. But you say it so powerfully, supported by your experience, I'm going to listen because that's real to me. Whereas, and I'm certainly not downplaying anybody in that psychological world or support world, but reading a book and understanding that, whereas they may have never have gone through that shared experience or that lived experience where yourself has, and you go, I'm going to listen to this dude because he knows what he's talking about, you know.
Yeah, and that's the power of that vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, not everybody wants to be vulnerable. So the thing about vulnerability is maybe you do get attacked. Maybe you do put some shit out there and somebody calls you a weak cunt, right? Happens. Sometimes it'll happen, you know. Like some of the things that I thought would happen did happen. They took my weapons. I was out of the platoon. The military, I got forgotten about by my guys. Like when I left the military, I got no farewell. There was no handshake. I didn't get. I just walked out one day. I left earlier than I should have, and I didn't even rock up to work for like a month or so, or a couple of months before that. I just used to catch the train to work, beep, buzz the thing, spin the gate from the outside, and go home. So that there was a record of my card swiping on the thing. So some of that shit will happen, and that was a fucked up part of it too. And I try to tell a lot of people that through my presentations is this thing might actually happen, but here's why it happens. It's because, and sometimes it's purely a mechanism of I was down the dog cell, guys would go out during the day to their own companies doing their own thing. I'm left there with nobody. So I've got physically nobody there. The assault platoon, the main guys that I usually work with are all 300 metres up the other side of the base. And then, you know, I'm on leave under the care of my partner. No one's seeing me.
Yeah.
At one point, this is, so 2018 I tried, and then the rehab process and whatever, and then it was like mid-2019 I'd been to the States for about 6 weeks, and I came back, and I've been in and out of work since then, and I came back, and a guy saw me and was like, "Oh, Brownie, fuck, you're back, man. I thought you'd fucking gone, like left the military." And I'm like, "Nah, dude. I've been here for fucking like the last year and a half since my attempt. I'm still here." But guys just don't see you. So there's a lot of that stuff that's hard to reconcile because you think that they don't care and you're making shit up in your head. No one gives a fuck. But really, and it's brutal to say, but you've got to know it and realise it, no one's going to care about you and your experience as much as you and your immediate family. And even in that process, like sometimes the partners, the kids, the family, the friends, you know, like they're not in the crisis that you're in. They're just watching it.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't see the rotten shit in your head. They just see the bad behaviour. So, like for example, the guys in the dog cell that I was working with, before my suicide attempt, they only saw me being aggressive, me isolating, my performance declining at work, you know, me having conflict and what's the word I'm after, like clashing with guys, me not wanting to be in certain places or whatever. They only see some of that stuff, so they've already made up their opinion, right? You then, at the end of that process, there's a suicide attempt and they go, okay, I understand, yeah. But they still already don't like me because they already made their mind up.
That probably goes back to what you were saying before. If you can just put your hand up and go, look, I'm going through some shit, I don't know what it is, then that, you know, there might be a bit more grace given to you there, or you might not have gone through all of those clashes and stuff because you would have removed yourself from work and given yourself that break to sort of mend or to go through that rehab process earlier.
Yeah.
Rather than damaging all those relationships on the way through because they don't have the context of what's going on in your melon.
Yep. Yeah, correct. And it's the same with families, man. Like, you know, you'll go through, like I'll call it the pain, shame, blame cycle. So, you know, there's some sort of pain, emotional, physical, whatever it is, and you've got shame around your experience. So you're like, whether it's the emotional stuff, I can't deal with this, I don't know what it is, I don't understand it, or whatever. So instead of like taking responsibility and looking inward and doing something for yourself, you blame, right? And a lot of the time that's anger. A lot of the time that's just purely who's in proximity to you. A lot of the time that's your family. So we can go through that pain, the shame, and there's a diagram and it goes different ways and there's a million variations of it, but like go through that pain, there's a shame attached to it, so you blame, you externalise it, so you isolate yourself from your family, and they just think this guy's just being a fucking angry fuckwit, and it's my fault. And then maybe you do blame him. It wasn't for you that I wouldn't have fucking have to leave the military or whatever. But it's not you saying that. You're just externalising. You don't really think that. You're just looking to avoid the pain that's inside you. So sometimes that's why relationships get fucked up, because you don't have the tools to explain it. You just, all you've got is the angst and the anger which you direct at them, because there's no one else to direct it at. Military doesn't care. Fireys don't care. There's no maybe it's DVA or something, right? I see a lot of people do that too. And we like to have an enemy, and it's got to be externalised. It's got to be someone to blame, because if you can blame someone, you can punish someone. A lot of time that's yourself. That's self-destructive stuff. That's suicide. That's alcohol abuse. That's cheating. That's isolating yourself from your kids, divorce, leaving your job, never speaking to your mates again. That's all that shit. Yeah. But, doing the shit for 7 years, I can sit here and talk about it with a lot of clarity. Someone that's going through it for the first time is like, this is not fun. This is fucked.
We just rewind a little bit to your, said you got back into the assault platoon, and then you decided to leave on your own terms. What was in your sights when you left? What did you move to next? What did you want to do? Where did you find yourself?
So, because I've been kicked out of the doggies, and I was really unhappy with that, and there was a lot of shame attached to that, a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment and whatnot. So I wanted to go to the Queensland Police. So I moved to Brizzy, and then my aim was to get into CERT, so the SWAT team up in Brizzy, and then do some doggy stuff in there. So essentially lateral move from commando doggies to CERT doggies. There's a lot of, big long process in there to follow as well, and go to the cops, and then do your beat time, apply, get through the course, be an assaulter for a while, then do the dog course. That was a years and years long worth of a pipeline. But I applied for QPS, and like I said off air, the thing that they always talk about and encourage is this integrity thing, right? So I was like, I'll show integrity. Hey guys, I went through this thing, fully disclose, and they were just like, nope, shut it down. And they said, nope, because you've had a significant mental health condition, there's a time frame I had to pass. I think it was 3 years or something, or whatever it was, before you can reapply and then go back for it. So I got knocked back, and I was like, well, I guess I fucking can't do that. So that was probably the best thing that never happened to me.
Yep.
I'm glad. Yeah, because I mean, at that stage of my life and in that state of mind, I fucking guarantee I would have done all the same shit that I did in the military.
Just run on repeat.
It would have been, I would have made all the same mistakes. I would have been the same guy. I would have gone backwards. I probably would have seen some stuff that did give me PTSD. Man, I'm glad I haven't seen and dealt with some of the stuff that cops deal with, even you guys. Like now in this stage of my life, with the amount of empathy I do have, and having kids now, I couldn't do anything kid-related, anything. Even the lowest level stuff that you guys would see, let alone the bad stuff, car crashes, fucking burnt bodies, or the stuff that cops do, mate. Even rocking up to a domestic violence house with a kid that has a 3-day-old shitty nappy. I could not do it. Couldn't do it, man. It would 100% would damage me and ruin me. And if I'd gone into the cops, apart from all the rotten shit I would have done myself, clashing with the organisation, fraternising, all that rotten shit that I probably would have got involved in, that the actual job itself, I reckon, would have fucked me up.
Wow.
So once you got that knocked on the head by QPS, and they said, no, Mr. Tom Brown, you're not coming in here, where did you turn from there?
Business. Yeah. So the doggy thing, because I was, very unhappy with the way it ended, I started a dog training business called the Stoic Dog. So just doing, one-on-one training, started some group stuff later, ended up hiring 2 people, which is awesome. So I learned a lot of stuff about business, a lot of brutal lessons in business, stuff that I, wasn't expecting as you can imagine going into business, a lot of things you don't know. And in that time, I wanted to get more in the work dog stuff, so I bought a Malinois puppy, trained it, sold it, did a few iterations of that in varying degrees, with varying levels of involvement, and then started developing the kit. Shut down the training business in favour of this one, so making the gear, do it all in-house, moved here to the Goldie, and then just been building this business slowly, and then, just kind of been heavily in that business world since then, man. Yeah.
How long have you been doing the current Origin Canine?
Orange Canine. March 2020, and started just consulting and doing the dog developing and then selling and whatnot. And then, the gear stuff sort of started. So it was about 2021 to now. So about 4 years, probably coming up 5 years. Yeah.
And more recent times, you're started to pivot to the stuff that we've been talking about for the last however long.
2 hours and 44 minutes, yeah.
So you pivoted to the Origin initiative?
Yep. Yeah, so I've done a bunch of podcasts and stuff before, and inevitably we talk about depression and suicide and whatnot, because it was all obviously pivotal in the end of my career and then starting of the business stuff, so it's unavoidable to talk about. And I've latched onto it in terms of like trying to understand it, what I can do, fixing myself and whatnot, going through some different therapies and whatever I can do on my own. And so I've kind of autistically gone down the rabbit warren with this stuff, which is probably half my issue. I'm undiagnosed autistic, I think, probably. So I've talked about this stuff a lot on podcasts and whatnot, and I guess I've got an interesting way of talking about it. I'm pretty open about it. And then I had an opportunity late last year, 2 things. So a guy that I had on my podcast, his mate runs this organisation in Arizona, and they usually get a mental health speaker, so they got me over last year. And then I had Sean O'Gorman on my podcast, and we talked about it, my experience, his experience. So a guy down in Victoria, police asked us to come and chat to his guys. They lost a guy to suicide like a few months before that. So, and I think I can say, I previously haven't mentioned his name, but so Rowan Andrews is his name. His nickname was Rooster. It's in the media and stuff. You can Google him and whatnot. But he was a guy who took his life down there, and it was, it took a lot of their guys by surprise, like real big surprise. Like my stuff was reasonably obvious that something that was going on. I think with this guy it was zero. It was just, one day he was there, good to go, next day he wasn't. So I think a lot of those guys and girls got hit pretty hard by that. So one of his mates, fucking God bless him, was like, hey, come down and give us the no bullshit, because we're not going to let this thing fade off. We're not going to forget about Rooster. So went down there, had a chat to those guys, and then had a chat to one of their other units down there, and it was really good feedback. I mean, Soggy's been doing it for years, but the one overseas I did, plus those 2 down there, and another local one I did, and I've had really, really good feedback, and I think people have enjoyed what I've had to say and how I say it. So I've been thinking about doing something for a while to share my experience and get some stuff out there and help a bit more. And more so what I've learned as opposed to the Tom Brown story, right? Like, yes, my experience, might have a lot of commonality with people and help them come to terms with their own stuff, but I don't just want them to go, hey, everybody goes through it. I want to be like, here's the no bullshit version of what it was, the good, bad, and the ugly, and then here's the stuff that can actually help you and make you better than you were. I don't think there's such thing as fixed. I don't think this shit ever goes away. And what I mean by that is I don't think you're also not just going to be in crisis for the rest of your life and you just need to get over it and you just got to fucking deal with it. I mean, you can be much, 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 much better than you were. And that's where I am now. Like I still go through some shit because I've got 2 young kids. I've got life stress. I've got a business, I'm still dealing with some of the things that I didn't deal with years ago. This comes, that's that whole, like, just do it properly sort of thing. I didn't do it properly, so I'm still slowly working through some shit. But, yeah, it was just a big kick in the ass. It was like, well, if you got something worth saying, then you better fucking say it, and you better say it well. So go and do it. Go and help some people. Put some shit out there. So, I just codified everything that I've taken notes in and remembered and written down and documented over the last 7 years, put it into these 3 presentations, and then putting it out on the socials through Origin Initiative. I want to say the things that nobody says, and I want to talk about the stuff nobody talks about it. Because, we can all sit there and fucking circle jerk over the break and the stigma and, whatever, but I'm like, stigma sounds like smegma. Stop fucking saying that. Just, say some rotten shit that makes you uncomfortable, and that's what I'm trying to do, is say some uncomfortable stuff. The things I say in the socials are probably a bit more confronting and a bit more raw than the presentation stuff, but I want to do both. All right. The presentation stuff it's a little bit more linear. It's not sterile or clinical, but it's a bit more like, hey, this is what this process looks like. Here's the sort of A to B. This is what you might experience. There's a little bit more showmanship in terms of like, I'm trying to prompt people to ask questions or think about things differently. Whereas my social stuff is pretty raw. It's just, I'm just throwing it out there and just seeing what sticks, like everything I've learnt. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, people asks me to do it, so I was like, well, I'll do it well. I'll do as much of it as I can. So, yeah.
Who's it geared for? The presentations. So, who would you, in an ideal world, who would you be delivering these presentations for?
Military, cops, fireys, ambos, prison.
Any sort of high stress or high trauma sort of occupations?
Yeah. Typically, that's the term that's been thrown around at the moment is operational Australians. So those sort of service-based organisations, the military, cops, fireys, ambos, prison people, maybe security people, even high-performance sports people, anyone that you said that's in that really acute or chronic stressful environment in those service-based jobs that works directly with the community, that sees and does the rotten shit that people don't like to do, can't do. People need help other people, but there's a huge personal toll that comes along with that job. So, yeah, I'd say anyone like that, man. Yeah.
And then the other stream you sort of alluded to was your socials. That's the other way, or the other outlet, I suppose, is putting information out and through social media.
Yeah. So the presentations are a bit more concise. There's a bit more congruence, and there's a specific pattern and flow that I follow, like the 3 presentations. So there's the chaos one, which I talk about the myths about my experience, what I thought it was going to be versus what it was, and then some of the mindset shifts. And that one is sort of, I'm not giving you the fucking upsell, but like I'm trying to make a distinction between the socials and that. So that one's sort of like get you on board, like, hey, I get it. Here's the no bullshit. This is what it is. Then the second one is clarity. So I want you to understand it a bit better, and I'll talk about some of the processes, some of the emotions, how you can put labels to some things, some of the patterns to look out for, and then some of the things you can do about it. And the last one's called capacity. So it's like how you build on that, where you go from that, what you can do long term, and some of the like slightly more structured things that I've done to take care of myself. And I use the word capacity because you're not fixing yourself. You're just increasing your capacity for whatever it is you do. The job, family, business, moving on, whatever. So that's what that is about. And then the socials are just, I don't want to ever put what I've got behind a paywall and limit myself to 20 people in a room. Because sometimes the overt nature of, hey, can you come and help us? Can you help me? Can you tell us what you know or whatever is a difficult thing. Plus the money thing. A lot of the organisations are like, mental health, I don't want to pay for that. That sounds shit. I'd rather spend that money on a new coffee machine or whatever. Because it's not palatable, no one likes to admit that stuff. So I get it. Sometimes they're just not going to want to talk to me, right? They don't understand me. They don't know me. I'm very new to this sort of stuff. I'm an unknown, so to speak. So I want to put pretty much everything I've got for free on the social media, so that if you want to do it in your own time, in your own way, without having to sit there in an audience, then you can just take it and use it for free. So I kind of want to make sure that everyone I care about gets what they need, but I'm also still hitting all the bases, you know what I mean? Like grassroots level, this is what you're going through right now. Here, social media, take it. Have a look at everything I've got to say.
Yep.
You know, reach out if you need to, whatever. Presentations, it's more like, you know, for you, your community, let me impart on you everything that I've learned so you guys as a group, as an organisation, can take it on board and then do whatever it is you need to do as individuals or as a group, as a collective. And I think that's what I've kind of achieved just hearing the feedback from the groups that I've spoken to so far.
So you can structure that to say a leadership group, to say, you know, how would you structure that different to someone going through it, to a leadership group to make sure that this doesn't happen to our people? Is there a way you can do that?
Yeah, at the moment, it's more like individual and a collective one. So I don't have anything specific for leadership or for the organisation, if that makes sense. Because my thinking is that's a battle that I can't win ever, right? And that promotion course I said I did in Brisbane, probably one of the things that helped me realise that I'm never going to win that fight is that the course is called JLC. Everybody knows about it. All the same stories. When I first joined to when I left, right? And when I did the course, it was everything that everybody said it was, all right? And then I was sitting in the audience at the group at the end, and they were like, oh, feedback or whatever. And I was like, how long has JLC been running, or sub one? Oh, the fucking late 90s, 80s, whatever it was. And I was like, that's my feedback. Okay, this course is everything that everybody said it was, and it's not changed since the 80s. Like, why would I tell you my feedback if it's not going to change? You know what I mean? So I'm never going to, in my opinion, change the organisation. I can only help people and individuals and small groups. So that's what I'll do.
Yep.
I mean, I'm always happy to chat to those people and give them the understanding, but I'm like, I mean, you've listened to this podcast. I'm not a corporate guy. I'm not the guy that's ever going to stand up in Parliament and deliver some nice speech about, you know, the things I talk about. Like, I'm going to say the real thing. I'm not going to make it pretty. Like, yes, I'm not abrasive and rude and over the top and whatnot when I deliver it. I want it to be palatable. But make no mistake, I'm going to tell you the real thing. I'm going to give you the real thing, the actual, tangible, practical mindset or physical things that you can do in your life to change it. Because I'm not going to change your organisation. I can't change that mentality. At the end of the day, what people have to realise, and it still sucks, but it's true, the organisation, as much as it should be there for you because you achieve the mission, it's there to achieve the mission. You guys save cats from trees. We get coffees or whatever you do. You guys put out fires. You cut people out of cars. That's what you fucking do. You save lives. You help people. We go overseas. We fucking kill bad guys. We fight the war. That's what we do. From the organisation's standpoint, if something in your personal life or your experience is detracting from that, I cannot stand that. We do that thing because it has to be done. So I'm never going to go in there and be like, oh, we need more empathy and is how you give your people permission to go through their own experiences or whatever. I could probably help them a little bit and be like, hey, let's try and get your people back quicker so they can do that thing, because that's all they want to hear. They probably don't want to hear most of the soft shit about how that you help yourself get out of that place or understand your emotions or some of the thought patterns and behaviours and the psychological things that you go through in your home, because it's not relevant to them. So I more cater toward the individual and the small, the subunits, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm also happy to impart whatever I can on those people, and I want to put something together a bit better for those people, but it wouldn't be my priority because I want to have an impact on people, and I think I can have the most impact at the grassroots level. So human to human, not human to organisation.
I think that's an important message. the function of those organisations are their primary, the reason for existing. So it's probably up to the individual, a bit of personal responsibility to be aware of what you're doing and the impacts that can have on you. So it's up to you to sort of look after yourself, and I guess don't be surprised if the organisation doesn't meet your expectations in that situation.
Correct. Yeah. And it's a brutal one to come to terms with, man.
Yeah.
Brutal. I had to do it like that. You know, it took me. Like, I've still got a little bit of resentment there. I won't lie to you, a little bit. But I try my best to be grateful for the career that I had and the mates that I've got, right? But, you know, we're humans, we've got emotions, and sometimes you're just going to feel the bad one. So, yeah.
Too bloody good.
Yeah. Powerful.
One question for you, Tom.
Oh.
One more. I've got one more. If you could give one bit of advice to yourself, if you could give yourself one bit of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Oh, younger self.
Let's just say pre-2018.
2018. Oh, that was a bit late in the piece there.
Or even younger, whatever.
It's a hard one because I wouldn't have listened if I'd said it to myself. Yeah, I'd say that you're worthy. That you are good enough the way you are.
Yep.
Right? People judge you by your character, not by your job, not by what you've done, not by what you've achieved. So show people your true character. Don't try to build a resume. Don't try to put notches on your belt. Don't try to impress other people with what you can do, and just be you. Just be happy with yourself because you're worthy the way you are. You've got inherent worth. You've got unlimited worth. And, you know, just have a bigger capacity, build your capacity to do more and to be more. Yeah, I think that'd be it.
Would that be similar advice to what you will give your daughters?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I was going to say I'll ask it in a different way, but I think your answer to Josh's question seems to me the perfect advice for your girls.
Yeah, that's it, man. I'd say the same thing to them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you've got character, you've got personality, and inherently in you, whether you realise it or not, whether you'll see it for a long time or not, but you are inherently worthy of living a good, long, happy life. And there's nothing, no mistakes, no fuck ups, no backward steps or whatever that can detract from your worthiness to live a good, long, happy, fulfilled life. Yeah.
Great advice.
Happy days. Cool.
Thanks so much, mate, for
boys.
sharing that raw, honest story. It was
all good, bro.
fantastic.
Got nothing but honesty for you guys, man.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. It's what we want.
Like I said, mate, I ditched the, I know I'm a tough guy. I know I've got what it takes, right? I wasn't the biggest, baddest, toughest, but I've got enough. And I don't need to do more of that to prove more. So I'll give you everything, man.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for your time, mate. And just for the record, I don't think that you being vulnerable and sharing detracts from you being a tough guy whatsoever at all.
Thanks.
Not at all.
I think it
That's
adds
quite well.
Adds to it, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for your
thank
time,
you,
man. And thanks for your career and stuff too,
Yeah.
mate. Like your service through the army and all that sort of stuff. It's we appreciate it.
And mate, I appreciate you boys too, right? And while we're all fucking jerking each other off here. There's no video, so I'm going to tell people that are listening that we're literally doing it. Like you guys doing this stuff and not being afraid because you guys are still in, and you guys are taking a big risk here to be scrutinised. So I appreciate that you guys put yourself out there and get a bit of a loose cannon like me on your podcast to say some wild shit that may reflect on you or may not. But I appreciate that you guys do this because, like, it's one thing for us to say, we're gonna break the stigma, we're gonna fucking help each other, it ain't weak to speak, and all that type of shit. Like, until you stand up in front of a group of people and say some shit that makes you feel very uncool, like, it's all just lip service. So you guys are like, you're doing it. You're doing the real thing, and like I guarantee you guys are saving lives and helping people and changing lives because of what you do. So I appreciate it.
Well, we hope so, yeah.
Thanks, mate. Circle jerk done.
Yay!
Well done. Thanks, mate.
Hey, boys.
Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please show your support by subscribing, liking and rating the podcast on your listening and social media platforms. We are always looking to improve what we do. If you have feedback, suggestions for further guests, topics, or would like to be a guest yourself, please contact us via Instagram.
Stop the scene.